The three types of empathy that psychologists have defined are cognitive, emotional, and compassionate. It is worth noting that just as emotional intelligence, empathy is a relatively new idea, and it is still being defined by social and cognitive psychologists. Emotional intelligence, on the other hand, is the ability to identify and manage your emotions and the emotions of others. Scientific journalist, author, and psychologist Daniel Goleman popularized the concept of emotional intelligence in 1995. Daniel Goleman's intelligence theory outlines 5 components of EQ, as emotional intelligence is known: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Hi, this is Clarity Coach Lucy, and this is Tuesday Talks at 3. Welcome to the EQ and Me series, episode 4. In our last episode, we considered how to develop our motivation levels and asked ourselves, how do we stay motivated? Our takeaways were so powerful. Feel free to jump onto our YouTube platform, LMC Consultancy, and have a look at those takeaways and even more from all the episodes 1, 2, and 3 that have come before it. So our first takeaway was choosing optimism and being open to unlearn and relearn. Unlearn and relearn. Unlearn, suggesting that we are rewiring our brain. We are taking on the truth that we thought was so real in our lives. We are taking it on and we are challenging it because times have changed. We are creating a new narrative by taking on new information and learning something new. So in choosing optimism and being open to unlearning and relearning, we are able to take on new information and adapt to the ever-changing world. As we are told, 2 ways to survive today is adaptation to the learnings, to adaptation to the changings, adaptation to how the world is changing, and innovation. Once you have these 2, adaptation and innovation, you have a fair chance. And understanding that, to quote John Spalding, that they who can no longer unlearn have lost the power to learn. I'll repeat that. They who can no longer unlearn have lost the power to learn. So in this powerful takeaway, we were being challenged to look into our lives and see what are those things that have become obsolete, things that need to be done away with through the unlearning process. We realize that the unlearning process is not as easy as it sounds. Rather, we need support to be able to unlearn, because this is something we've been holding on for a long time as our absolute truth. And now suddenly we've realized that it is obsolete. So John Spalding said, they who can no longer unlearn have lost the power to learn. So if you want to move on today in life and you want to adapt to the changes and you want to be part of the race, then you need to learn how to unlearn. The second takeaway was consistency and resilience. And we did mention that motivation needs consistency, but then how? It is in the actions that we choose to stay motivated in or with that come into play. The examples I gave were very simple and relatable. My example was singing, music. My example was cooking. Those are the things that keep me motivated. If I say that today I want to be joyous, I want to be happy, there are those things that I will continue doing and to keep me motivated despite life happening around my decision of joy and happiness, because life does happen irrespective of what your plans are. What would I do? I know I've got my music. I know I can go to my music. I know I can go into cooking, or maybe it's smiling for you. Maybe for you, the one thing that keeps you motivated, or one action that you use, is to smile right through it. Maybe for you, it's getting people around you. It's reading. Maybe for you, motivation is just taking 5 steps back for me time and just recharging. Whatever it is, it has to be consistent. Because if it is not consistent, then motivation dies. This motivation over the period of 24 hours is being recalled every time that life happens. Because life happens for you, at you, with you, around you. We need to have consistent motivation. You know those people who go around smiling all the time and you wonder how they do it? Well, they have a game plan. For them, that is how they stay motivated. Resilience, that we do know that despite what is going on in our lives, this too shall pass. So how is it that we go through it? We go into it, around it, and come out on the other side. Resilience. So motivation needs both consistency and resilience. That was our second takeaway. Our third takeaway was being intentionally present. Being intentionally present, and then managing the stress and the overwhelm, taking care of the here and now. We are human beings, and many a time we are not in the present. We are so busy in the future or in the past. In the past, blaming everything of what is happening today, and in the future on the past. Well, I am here to say to you, there's nothing you can do about the past other than take it for its learnings. So don't spend so much time there unless you're going in there to get the learnings to apply to the here and now, which is the present. It is the gift that we have. And this is where our focus should be, not so much on the future, because that is how we manage to end up being depressed, tired, anxious, because we are worrying about a future that we're not even sure of, that we're not even guaranteed. Yet the here and now that we are guaranteed, we are overlooking it for the past and the future. It's a very deep statement right there when we say, celebrate the here and now, take care of the here and now, and do not live in the future, because in the future is where we get stressed and overwhelmed. If at this moment I am busy thinking about the next 5 minutes, I am stressing myself as opposed to taking the beauty of this moment. So those were the 3 takeaways: choosing optimism and being open to unlearning and relearning, allowing motivation to be consistent and resilient, and then being intentionally present and managing the stress and the overwhelm in our lives by taking care of the here and now. Well, in this episode, we seek to understand how to build empathy, and we continue to borrow from Daniel Goleman's theory of emotional intelligence. Now, before I ask the question for today, I'm just going to check and confirm that indeed we are live. And I'm just checking there on my feed. And yes, we are live. We've been live for the last 8 minutes. So the question for today is self-empathy important? Is self-empathy important? It's a very simple question, but again, we have to think it through. As mentioned, the 3 types of empathy that psychologists have defined are cognitive, emotional, and compassionate. These 3 types of empathy move in progression from cognitive to emotional to compassionate. The definition itself of empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. And so I am going to try and take you through these 3 types of empathy so that you can see how they move into progression, through progression, I beg your pardon, and how you can apply them in your life, in that you would be able to understand exactly what kind of empathy you're experiencing at what point. I will then proceed into the 3 steps that are very simple steps that you can use to build your empathy. So let's start with the 3 types of empathy. The first one is cognitive. Daniel Goleman defined cognitive empathy as simply knowing how the other person feels, just simply knowing how the other person feels and what they might be thinking at that very moment. So if, for example, you see a student going to school in the rain, so it's pouring, and the student has perhaps their Macintosh with them, and they've got their bag over their back, their rucksack, and they're walking in the rain on their way to school. Your cognitive empathy registers that process. They can actually see how the student is dressed, how the student is walking, and then the intellect informs your mind that this is a student going to school. So it's that process that is happening that is called the cognitive empathy. So you're registering that process, and in your mind, you can see what is happening. You can see the rain, the student in the rain, and the thoughts that are going through your mind are perhaps, is a student warm? You hope that they are warm. Will the student get to school? You hope that they will. Will they get to school on time? Will they be wet? These are thoughts that are just going through your mind. It is what your eyes see and what your brain is responding to, what your eyes have seen. It doesn't really put you in another person's shoes. It doesn't put you in another person's shoes. It's just you having an intellective moment of cognitive empathy, seeing what is happening. So you're not at any point here emotionally invested. So you're going through the steps. This is a person going to school. This is how they're dressed. This is the environment that they're in. Your thoughts are going through your mind, and you're walking past or driving past or just whizzing past, and life is going on. That, in simple definition, is cognitive empathy. Then we've got emotional empathy, and Daniel Goleman describes this as when you feel physically along with the other person, when you feel physically along with the other person, as though their emotions were contagious, as though their emotions were contagious. So imagine a situation where you see someone breaking down, perhaps, someone breaking down due to loss of a loved one, due to loss of a loved. So you're seeing somebody who's breaking down due to loss of a loved one. What happens to you? Well, before we answer that question, let's just see who is here with us. We've got Nancy, welcome. Great to see you here. Maria, Wausi, wow, welcome, Wausi. So good that you could join us. Judy Loreka, great to see you. Jane Kuvuna, great to be here, is what you're saying. And you, great. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are talking about empathy. And the question of this session is self-empathy important? And what we are going through right now is the 3 types of emotion that psychologists have defined. And that is cognitive, which we've just described as more of intellect. It is your mind processing what your eyes are seeing. There's no emotion involved. It is you just processing and moving on with your life. We are now into emotion, and we are saying that emotional empathy is defined as when you feel physically along with the other person as though their emotions were contagious. And I was just beginning to give an example of, imagine a situation where you see somebody breaking down due to the loss of a loved one, and what happens to you. Well, I don't know about you, but for me, I begin to feel the emotions welling up. As I watch this person break down, the emotions begin to well up in me, and even tears run down my cheeks. And if they don't run down my cheeks, they start to well up in my eyes, and I start to feel in my throat, the emotion is all caught up there. Yet I don't even know the person that they are mourning. Neither do I know this other person who is going through this experience. But just like Daniel Goleman says, it's as though their emotions are contagious. What they're going through, I am suddenly experiencing. Now, this is the emotional empathy connection. This can happen to you anywhere and everywhere. You're wondering that you're watching this movie, you don't know these actors, but you're connecting to this emotion. Whatever is happening in your environment, and something is tugging at your heartstrings, you do have a reaction. Remember, the definition of empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. So at this point, you are connecting. And the third type of empathy is the compassionate empathy. And Daniel Goleman describes this, and he says, with this kind of empathy, we not only understand a person's predicament and feel with them, but are spontaneously moved to help if needed. Something extra has happened. Now, if you remember when we looked at cognitive, it was just about the thought process of your mind, moving the thoughts through your mind. Then emotional is where now we get a connection. Now, compassionate has added on to something that we are spontaneously moved to help. For example, you may be at a restaurant and a fellow diner falls ill or collapses, whatever it is. But this fellow diner is going through this experience. Now, you may be drawn to this because of commotion at the other end of the restaurant, middle of the restaurant, or this diner is actually seated with you, sharing the table with you, somebody that you know. Your brain registers the event. And you'll realize if it's somebody close to you, you go into like a slow motion. So your brain begins to register the event. This is happening. But immediately that happens, emotions are right behind there. Because like we said in our last episode, we are emotional beings. So every time an action, a thought goes through our mind or an action takes place, very close, coming in at a close second is emotions. So this diner is going through this experience. They are falling ill and they have collapsed. Your brain internalizes what has happened, processes it, registers it from the cognitive empathy level. Your emotions then kick in from the emotional empathy level. Perhaps the reason it's kicking is that you have been there before. You have fallen ill. And the thoughts that are going through your mind at this point is, what should be done? If I was in this position, this is what I felt I needed to happen at that time. Help. I need help. Because perhaps you're relating to a past personal experience, that perhaps it was you who was the one who fell ill and collapsed, or someone that you knew. As your emotions are kicking in and you are experiencing emotional empathy, now comes in the compassionate empathy, and it comes and it takes you into action, because now you're moved to do something. You're moved to help. You're moved to speak. You're moved to action. If we were watching a movie right now, the first thing you'll be doing is dialing 911. But in real life, do we really just jump in and dial 111, or do we try and help the situation? Do we call out for help? Do we try and loosen the clothes of the individual? Do we try and get out whatever is choking them, clear the area so they can breathe? Whatever your reaction is, you're ready into the throes of compassionate empathy. You have now stepped in. You are feeling the predicament of this person, and you're spontaneously moving in to help. This is compassionate empathy. So I'm going to look here and see if there's any comments here. I don't see any comments right now. Guys, please engage with us. The question for today is self-empathy important? And we're going to talk about self-empathy now as we dive into the 3 steps that you can use to build your empathy. The 3 steps that you can use to build your empathy. We've gone through the 3 types of empathy. I have suggested to you that they go in progression. They start from cognitive to emotional to compassionate. Now we're going to jump into simple 3 steps that you can use to build your empathy. The first one is choosing to challenge yourself. And as you choose to challenge yourself, ask yourself, is empathy important? Because unless you attach importance to it, then the challenge doesn't work. So is empathy important? Remember, the definition of empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Is this important? Question is, you may ask me, Lucy, where would I apply empathy? I'm just looking at the chat. If you keep on seeing me looking away from the screen, I am looking at the chat to see if there are any comments, and so far, no comments. Maria and Jerry, I'd love to hear from you today. You have been very consistent in all our sessions, and I thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. So back to self-empathy, choosing to challenge yourself by asking this question, is empathy important? The ability to understand and share the feelings of another. How, Lucy, how do I do this? Okay, today it's all about examples, because without these examples, I couldn't find a better way to execute this particular episode. So on self-empathy, for example, you have just received news that you did not qualify for a position that meant so much to you. You didn't qualify. You've gone in for the interview or the session for you to be vetted, whatever process you were going through, and you waited a few days or a week or a few months, and finally, the answer has come, whether it is on your text message, on your email, or by post, or by phone call. The answer has come in, and you did not qualify. Oh, many of us have been here. You want something so badly, something means so much to you. Maybe the positive answer was to take you to another level, to transcend you, to promote you, to give you a foot through a certain door that you've been trying to get through, to grow you. And what do you feel? Because all these emotions are coming at you. Well, I've been here and I have felt rejected. I have felt not relevant at all. I have felt that I didn't add up. I didn't put my best foot forward. That feeling of rejection, it really goes deep. So what is your immediate self-language on internalizing this rejection? We are moving on with a challenge. What is your immediate self-language on internalizing this rejection? Is it the voices coming to your mind saying, I told you so? Is it the voice coming to your mind saying, we knew we couldn't make it? Or we were just trying it just to try, but we knew our qualifications did not add up to anything? Are your thoughts about, there you go again, I have no connections, I need to know people to be able to be placed and get a positive outcome on this? What kind of self-language goes through your head as you internalize this? I have failed. I didn't do this right. I'm not good enough. I'll never amount to anything. Is this what goes through your mind? And if it does, it is normal. We are human. When we feel that we have failed at something, when we perceive that we have failed at something, when somebody says that you have failed in many ways, someone can walk up to you and say, straight to your face, you have failed. Somebody can actually send you a letter and say that, thank you for taking part in this interview process, but you did not qualify. And then you feel that they're telling you you have failed. Different perspective. In our last episode, I encouraged you to look at it from a different point of view. I choose to look at such things today from a point of gratitude. I ask myself, what did I learn from this process? And I give thanks for it. I call it. So maybe by going through this process, you realize what your strengths and your weaknesses were, your updated strengths and weaknesses. You realize the things that you need to unlearn so that you can create a new area, space to learn new things so that you can be more current. You realized that you knew quite a bit that you did not know before. Gratitude plays a huge part in self-empathy. Let's just see, I can see the chat group going. Nancy says, understanding my self-worth, very true. And this is how you jump straight into the challenge, Nancy. Understand your self-worth and apply self-empathy to it. Because life happens. Whether we are aware of it, life happens. Even if you have stopped doing what you're doing, life continues to happen. Thank you for sharing, Nancy. I appreciate you. Maria says, hey, I'm glad to be tuned in and I'm unlearning and relearning. Well done. Good for you, Maria. Interesting enough, I've not heard of self-empathy. Always practice empathy for others. The question is very reflective. How is it I deal with all the examples? How it is that I deal with all the examples given? Very true, and I thank you. That is actually very retrospective. When you look at things from the angle of first going for self-empathy, because only once you fill your own cup can you then pour to others. How else are you expected to practice empathy on other people when you yourself don't practice empathy on yourself? So the example that we give, that you have received some bad news, disturbing news, news that makes you anxious, measure how you respond to it. Because the way that you respond to it is going to keep you prepared to be able to respond to others with empathy. It's as simple as that. Start with yourself. Build empathy within yourself. And we're going to go through the 3 steps. One of them is self-empathy. With self-empathy, when we build it up, we become stronger, strong enough so that we are able to go out there and apply empathy in every environment that we are in. So when we go back to asking whether gratitude plays a part, I hope it plays a part for you, because there's always 2 sides. We may be focused, and we'll talk a lot about focusing in a minute. We may be focused on what went wrong in our lives. But in so much as something going wrong in your life, there's something that we have learned. With every perceived failure, there is a learning. When we talk about emotional intelligence, it's about understanding yourself and how you respond to whatever is going on within you. So how do you respond to this perceived failure? One way is to take the learnings and apply it. As I said, the past is gone. There's nothing much you can do about the past except take the learnings and apply here and now. You are guaranteed of the here and now. You are alive here and now. You don't know whether you'll be alive in the next 1 minute. So don't stress too much about it. Let us take care of the here and now. So how do you treat yourself? Now that you've had this rejection, this loss, this feeling of you're not relevant anymore, whatever it is, how do you treat yourself? Do you treat yourself with love and compassion? Do you give yourself a pat on the back and say, it's okay, we live to fight another day? How kind are you to yourself? What kind of empathy do you apply to yourself? Maria and Jerry, I hope I'm answering your question. Perhaps you brush it off. Some of us are not ready to face the truth about a situation, so we brush it off. We sweep it under the rug. The danger with that is that the day that it explodes, it'll explode on its terms, and you will have no control over it. You will not know how to deal with it. And all your dominoes will crumble, and it will leave you very vulnerable. So do you deal with it? You want to deal with it, definitely. When something happens, call it as it is, deal with it. See what kind of support that you need and apply it. Do you deflect it? Some of us deflect it. We deflect it into whatever direction that we want, thinking that if it goes into the 4 winds, it'll never come back. Just like brushing it under the carpet, it will be back. So you want to call it and deal with it. You are feeling disappointed. Let's deal with the disappointment today. Let us call it and say, I'm feeling disappointed because of 1, 2, 3. And today I am choosing to stay in this area of disappointment so that I can remind myself and have total recall that the next time disappointment comes upon me, I will recognize it. That is the reason I'm staying disappointed. Now, these are the action points I am going to take to walk out of my disappointment and be able to protect and prepare myself not to go in at that level. If I get disappointed another time, I'll be disappointed at another level, not the same one, because we've been there before. We have grown intentionally. Perhaps you're the kind of individual who reflects the rejection onto others. It is easier for you to be mean to other people than it is for you to address the rejection in your life. This is also normal. But then again, you have to choose, because today we're talking about empathy. You have to show empathy to others, and empathy and meanness don't go together. So call it for what it is. That is my dark side, Lucy. And deal with the dark side. This is your shadow self. And you just need to visit my YouTube channel to get the series that is on your dark side, your shadow self. You are a total of your light and your dark side. You cannot ignore your dark side and just build up your light. You need to know the two areas and who you are in both places. So the questions were, how do you treat yourself? Do you brush it off? Do you deal with it? Or do you deflect it? Do you reflect the rejection onto others? How do you do it? What is your reaction? Well, the answers to these questions help you to know how compassionate you are to yourself. And in my opinion, being empathetic with self is a good first step, because it gives me the understanding on how to respond to situations. The situation that you're facing is not unique to you. Many people face the same situation. It is how you respond to that situation that is unique to you. It is what you choose to do in that instant that is unique to you. So we are still challenging ourselves, and we are asking, is empathy important? So write it down. Write down all those feelings that come to you. Write down how you react. And when you write down those responses to self, seeking to help other people will become an easier thing. Because as you write it, you already seek to be a better individual. And I encourage you to do the same thing that I have done, and that is challenge myself. That is one step to building your empathy. And I can see here, Maria and Jerry has come back and said, yes, you are. Yes, yes, you are. Oh, I'm answering your questions. Fantastic. I beat myself up. I'm too tough on myself on my own. And so important to call it as it is. Yes. You're not alone, Maria. Many of us are tough on ourselves because we are our worst critics. We seek to be a better version of ourselves. And we believe the one way to do this is to be tough on ourselves. I'm encouraging you to have empathy. Call it as it is. So I dropped the ball. It's not the end of the world. I have an opportunity to get up as a better version of self and forge forward. So there you have it. One step is self-empathy. The other step is a different environment, choosing to experience a different environment. Now, intentionally understanding that we all have our own journeys and stories is important. Appreciating that not everyone thinks like we do is important. Like I have just said, when we are talking about self-empathy, we all experience the same environment. It is our reactions that are different. So we want to be able to choose to experience a different environment. And when I talk about a different environment, I'm encouraging you to step out of your comfort zone. If you are within a certain area all the time, choose a different environment and then look out and see how the situations are there and how people react to these situations. Because a different environment gives you an appreciation of how things can be looked at differently. So this is your second step to building your empathy. So how? I said today is all about examples. Put yourself out there, be among people and their situations, and listen, see, internalize, use your senses, and take in the information. So for example, visit places with diverse culture and take in the differences with the intention to learn how people respond differently to universal situations. Nancy has responded here and said, I respond with anger and being alone. Yes. So when you have rejection, Nancy, you respond with anger and being alone. So just like Maria and Jerry says, call it as it is. Call it as it is. And just like I'm suggesting, take a moment and internalize in that moment. Take your learnings. You need to unlearn a few things. And as you unlearn these few things, you create space for other new experiences. So thank you for sharing, Nancy. I really love that. Let's keep engaging. So going on to the different environment, what I love is children. Children are so innocent in the way that they carry out things, and they are one of the best places to learn things as adults. So I encourage you to visit a children's playground and see how they interact. Now, you may ask me, how are they going to be experiencing the same things that I experience as an adult? Well, Nancy here has said that she responds with anger and being alone. You will see children on the playground being annoyed and angry. You will see children being alone, one child just hanging out in the corner and not joining everybody else. Maria and Jerry says that she's tough on herself. Well, you're going to see some children there in the playground really pushing themselves because whatever voices are coming from home in their head, perhaps telling them, push, you can be better, you can do this, are the ones that are their motivating factor. So whatever it is, in this children's playground, you will see the things that happen in your life, only it's a different situation. It's a children's playground. You have brought yourself to a different environment. What are the things that you would find in a children's playground? Maybe you could share some that you're aware of. I have a few examples here. Fierce competition. Children want to win. If children are running, they all want to win. And you'll find the one child who has figured out that they're not going to win this race will either stop running, they quit, or they sit on the floor and they start crying, or they start bullying somebody else. This is fierce competition. Now take that and look at adults and see how adults act when things are competitive. How different is it? Well, with adults, because of our many years of life, we kind of are wolves in sheep's clothing. We hide our real emotions. But when we boil it down, that fierce competition is bringing out a lot of fear in us. It's bringing out a lot of anger and antagonism and apathy, maybe. Remember, we are here about empathy today. You are listening, you are seeing, you are watching, you're internalizing. So you're looking at how these children are reacting to fierce competition. Yeah. Thank you so much, Kavi. Kavi has brought in laughter. Yes, in the children's playground, we will find a lot of laughter. And when we hear this laughter and you look to where they are just so happy with life. How many times do you find adults being so happy with life? The minute they start being happy with life, they think there's something wrong with this picture. So they time the happiness and then suddenly they want to bring in everything that could be wrong with this situation instead of enjoying the moment of laughter, just as the children do. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kavi. Thank you. Continue giving us ideas of what you will find at a children's playground. How about screams? They're screaming with delight. It's not screaming because they're crying, screaming with delight. You know, the sheer delight of being alive and being with friends. When's the last time you saw adults experiencing that? When's the last time you experienced that? Sharing, you find children are sharing on the playground. It is the sweetest thing to see. A child will have an ice cream, it comes straight out of their mouth into the mouth of another child. Sharing. How often do we share as adults? The little that we have, do we share? Or do we immediately go into the mindset of, I want to hoard some for tomorrow because I won't have enough? Tears. There are tears on the playground. And these tears with children don't last. The children will be crying and in the next instant, they are laughing. When's the last time that you saw an adult step out of this emotion of tears? They're in it in 1 minute and the next minute they're out. This is what happens to us. Life happens to us. So when we are not in a good emotion, we tend to just stay there, because then at least we have an emotion. We're not ready to up it to another emotion. Acceptance. Children accept one another. It doesn't matter color or creed. There's acceptance in the children's playground. And I could go on and on and on. I don't see any other examples right here. So choosing to experience a different environment or see things from a different perspective is part of the process of compassionate empathy. It is that part of the process. That's your second one. The third step, and I'm just giving you 3 simple steps that you can apply today when you just get off this episode. The last one is an interesting one, and that is asking the right question. You see, our basic human needs evolve around security, variety, the kind of risks that we take, importance, how much importance we put on ourselves or other people, and then love. We subconsciously concentrate or focus on 1 or 2 of these needs in a positive or negative way. We are human. We have the positive and the negative aspect. This then informs how we behave. So what we do with our basic human needs then informs how we behave. So why don't we start, let's say, with security, and let's look at the positive and the negative. So an example of security is, for instance, in my case, I'm a very structured person. I like order in my life. And even in my place of work, this is what I do. I am a logical person. So I like to put things in a chronological form. Now, not everybody is like me. There are those who just love the excitement of life and no planning and spontaneous. You would kill me if you brought spontaneity into my life. I would feel so out of control if you introduced spontaneity in my life. Yet I was very spontaneous as a child. So for me, security is a focus. Now, that is in a positive way. And you may find in some cases security being in a negative way. You'll find there are those individuals who their way of exhibiting security is through holding you hostage emotionally, blaming you for things, misunderstanding what it is you're saying, choosing to be negative about the things that you were doing, even if you are just expressing what it is you're feeling, bullying. Children in the playground have bullies, so do adults. So we bully you. We walk into a place and we want to feel that we are secure, that people are looking at us and are thinking that we are the strong ones. So that is security in positive and negative. Choose a word that you can use for your own security. What is it? For me, it's about structure and orderliness. What does security mean for you? And what does security mean for you on a negative aspect? The other one is variety. Now, where security gives me orderliness, when I hear variety, I think about risk. Somebody who is a risk taker, somebody who is adventurous, who is full of excitement, somebody who loves change, ever-changing environment, someone who is not so much routine. This is someone who is full of risk taking, adventurous and excited. The negative aspect could be addictions, in that they're taking this particular variety and trying out different types of addictions, which mess up their life. And addictions could be destructive behavior or habits that they're taking on to their life. The excitement of not getting caught, the excitement of taking it to another level, how much you can hurt somebody else, how much you can be defiant and rebel. That is variety. There's excitement in it, but it's on a negative angle. Remember, I am saying that we subconsciously concentrate on 1 or 2 basic human needs in either a positive or a negative way. We've looked at security and variety. Let's look at importance. What kind of significance do you give yourself? Are you the kind of person who wants to be like that child in the playground who would rather be in a corner and watch the activity going on? Is that you? Well, that is how you measure your importance. Is it you who wants to be the person in the front line, leading the information, the talking? Are you the life of the party? What does importance mean for you? Are you the kind of person who wants to be relevant? And therefore, in conversations, you want to speak up, you want to be heard. On the negative angle, are you pessimistic? Are you having an attitude of disdain and negativity in everything that is thrown at you? You are pulling out the negative aspect. You do not see any hope. You have no faith, and therefore you're bringing others down. That's an example. The fourth human need that I pointed out was love. It's about the connection, the partnership. It's about getting together. We talked about emotionally connecting. The negative aspect could be about the fear of relationships, in that every time you hear about relationships, you want nothing to do with it. And you are going to actually subscribe to this and get other people to believe that having relationships is not the way to go. And therefore, you're encouraging people to be alone. You're drawing them out. And this could actually end up being things like cults. So there's a positive and the negative. Whatever it is for you, these are just examples that I'm giving you. So I encourage you to refrain from copy and pasting our experiences onto others. We must refrain by asking the right questions. And the right questions are very simple. And I would ask you today, Nancy, how are you feeling? Maria and Jerry, how may I help you? Kavi, is this the right time? And this rings so true, especially in the case of children. For the longest time, and now it is changing with the new world, we need to unlearn a lot of things. For the longest time, children were to be seen and not heard. And therefore, we never asked our children any question about how they were feeling. We did not ask them if they were hungry. We just put food before them. And it was the unsaid thing that they were to eat. We never asked children what they would like to have. To this day, we are still not asking children what their dreams are. So when it comes into the area of children, think about the appropriate and the right questions to ask as a way to build empathy. Let's talk about depression. Many a times when we see or hear somebody is depressed, we tell them to snap out of it. We say to them that start laughing, come to this movie with me, quit staying in the room alone, stop moping around. What you're actually doing is copy and pasting your experiences on others, and you're not exercising empathy. It is important to exercise empathy. Today, we have a lot of mental wellness issues where people are suffering from depression, and it doesn't help to copy and paste our experiences on them. Ask them the right questions. Whoever is around you, ask, have a curious mind, and then listen. Listen to their answers, engage them. We're not taking on the burden, don't get me wrong. We're not taking on the burden that this person or this individual is carrying. We are seeking to understand how the other person is feeling. So that is asking the right question, and those are the 3 steps. And as we come to the end of our session today on empathy, we have looked at 3 types of empathy, which is the cognitive, the emotional, and the compassionate. And now we are looking at the 3 steps that can build your own empathy. And I do hope the self-empathy, the different environment, and asking the right questions actually relates to you. You can actually feel it, things that you can do here and now. And I'd love for you to drop for me a note here on my Facebook page on one of these things that you tried. What was your aha moment? Now, the next time something happens to a loved one, we will have an understanding of where they are coming from. And we'll be able to treat them with compassionate empathy by responding to the situation with loving detachment, because it is about compassionate empathy. Well, the 3 takeaways, our question for today was, is self-empathy important? And with a resounding yes, I do hope everybody's saying yes, yes, yes. Self-empathy is important. Why? Because once I exercise self-empathy, only then can I be able to exercise empathy to others. and be able to use my emotional intelligence in this way. So the 3 steps helped us to coin our takeaways. So challenge yourself through practicing self-empathy. Choose to have a different environment so you can see things differently, and tomorrow act in a different way in a situation, and then ask the right questions. I will just check as I come to the end if there's any comments before I close out the session. And Nancy says, personally, I prefer to listen to the discussion before making a contribution. Definitely, listening is important, Nancy. Listening is important. Our anatomy is 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we need to use them in that ratio. At times, we get so caught up in speaking so much. Listening is a good one. Thank you so much. Nancy, you continue to say, I need to be considerate towards others. Yes, this is where empathy comes in, and compassionate empathy is a great one. A compassionate empathy, as it was defined by Daniel Goleman, is with this kind of empathy, we not only understand a person's predicament. You don't have to agree with that person. Just understand their predicament and feel with them. You may be spontaneously moved to help. It doesn't mean that since you've understood where they're coming from that you agree with them, but this is you having empathy with another person. Thank you so much, Nancy, for that. You need to be considerate towards others. Maria and Jerry says, wow, that was insightful. Asante sana, Maria. The recording will be up on the YouTube channel, hopefully tonight. Have a look, share it with your networks. Kavi, excellent. Thank you so much, Kavi, for always being here. Very well articulated. Lucy, thank you, Kavi. Sheila, very good to see you here. You have joined us as we've come to the end. Good to see you here. Maria and Jerry, you say, first I need to challenge myself on how to have self-empathy, starting here and now. Yes, you are guaranteed the here and now. We don't know about tomorrow. You're guaranteed the here and now. And Nancy finishes off the session by saying, yes, yes, yes. Empathy is very important. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in today on this episode of Empathy and knowing the 3 simple ways that you can build empathy. Compassionate empathy is what we strive for. It concerns our intellect, our emotions, and our actions. And as Daniel Goleman said, that with this kind of empathy, we not only understand someone's predicament, we feel with them, we spontaneously moved to help them if needed. So we continue with our EQ and Me series. And I would really like to ask you, what will you practice in the next few days on compassionate empathy? And as you practice it, and we continue with our EQ and Me series, all these recordings are on my YouTube channel. Please hop on there. It is LMC Consultancy. Our next episode is about social skills. How are you going to be able to be with people now that you have empathy? I think we've managed to build up quite a few tools along our 4 episodes. In the meantime, remember to like our Facebook page to receive regular updates of these scheduled talks. Jump onto our website and get informed. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and like it. Hit the notification button. Please share with your people, your networks. And my book is already out, as I said. Do you have a copy? In our next month, we'll be looking at mental wellness, and therefore there will be giveaways as a result of my book. So make sure you have your copy, because those who have a copy, there's a special surprise for you. Let us continue to help build one another. And until then, be kind to yourselves. Bye-bye now.